Public bathrooms are terrible. You walk into a stall with weak wobbly doors and sit on a toilet that's more uncomfortable than the one at home. While you do your business, you feel like everyone is watching through the huge gaps under the stall or between the doors. You pull out toilet paper only for it to rip every single time. You then step out to wash your hands, only to find the sink, soap, and napkin dispensers barely even work. It's annoying, right? But what if I told you this was all done on purpose? The machines that hardly work, the uncomfortable stalls. This isn't about cheap equipment or lazy owners. This is all part of a much bigger plan. A plan that some of the biggest companies in the world are a part of. So the real question is, why are public bathrooms designed so terribly? Disney answers this question for us. Their parks are not just about rides or magic, they're about manipulation. From selling water that makes you even more thirsty to getting rid of the free fast pass and selling an alternative, it's clear Disney will do anything to get more of your money or save more of theirs. And that's exactly why they bring these same evil tricks into their bathrooms. You see, Disney spends millions on toilet paper, soap, and water every single year. If they can somehow cut that down by just 5%, that's an extra $3 million in their pockets. And judging by how their prices keep on rising, you know they want those savings. But the problem is, how do you get everyone, including you, to use less product? The answer? You make them impatient. Think about it, you wouldn't wait an hour in line for the teacup ride, but you would for the Cars ride. Why? Because your brain tells you the time spent is well worth the reward. In the same way, when you have to wait longer for machines that hardly work, like weak thin toilet paper, soap that barely dispenses, or slow running water, you're most likely not going to wait. Or at least that's what Disney hopes for, because the faster you're out, the less product you use. So thanks to these terribly designed machines, Disney and every other public bathroom gets to save that extra 5%. But this only explains the machines. What about the stalls, or more specifically those big gaps? They don't seem to have a purpose, they feel unnecessary and honestly kind of embarrassing. So if every bad design has a purpose, what's the real reason these gaps exist? You might assume it's to use less material, making stalls cheaper to produce. Or maybe it's for emergencies, or even for better ventilation. That's what big stall companies claim after all. But what if they're all lying? When you're competing with hundreds of other companies all selling the same thing, it's no longer about making a good stall. It's about designing a profitable one. And the gaps in stalls were just a genius way to save money. Think about it. Why do you enjoy spending time in your home bathroom? Because it's private. It's likely the one place in your house where you can be completely alone. But that's exactly the problem. When you feel comfortable, you want to stay longer. And if everyone stayed longer, bathrooms would get more crowded. And more crowds equal more messes. Messes Disney has to pay custodians to clean. By removing that sense of privacy with the huge gaps in stalls, you start to feel like everyone is watching. You get uncomfortable and want nothing more than to just get out. And without you realizing, those gaps forced you to finish your business much more quickly. So the truth? Public bathrooms were never designed for comfort. That's why they seem so terrible. They were designed to frustrate and embarrass you, to get you to leave quicker, and all to save their owners money. But the scary part is, bathrooms are just the beginning. Every day you're surrounded by designs that secretly take advantage of you. Take YouTube for example. Their platform isn't designed to show the best videos or even to keep you entertained. Its only goal is to get you to watch as many ads as possible, but without you ever realizing. You see, a few years ago, YouTube ads were simple. One before your video and maybe a few scattered throughout. But there was a problem. People would click off before ever reaching those later ads, meaning YouTube made less money. And at first, their solution seemed harmless. A single double ad. They claimed it would reduce interruptions later in your video, and technically that was true, but what it really did was force you to sit through both ads before ever getting the chance to leave. This guaranteed them all of their money, but wasted more of your time. And that was just the start. Once people got used to it, they added another, then another. Soon even those mid-roll ads doubled. But the shocking part is, this was the plan all along. YouTube knew from the start they wanted more money, but if they suddenly flooded every video with ads, their users would get angry. So instead, YouTube did it slowly, one small step at a time, making sure you never noticed until it was too late. You never signed up to watch more than a few ads, but now you're stuck watching all of them. But this trap is nothing compared to Apple's, a company known for its evil tricks. And chances are, if you have an iPhone, you've already fell for all of them. In 2012, Apple released the Lightning cable alongside the iPhone 5, calling it the future. But what they didn't tell you was the secret plan behind it. They had purposely designed the phone to only use their new cable, not because it just had to be that way, but because that now meant every charger you bought had to be from the Apple brand. Now you might think you could just purchase other cables from other brands, but that's the thing. Apple didn't just create the Lightning connector, they patented it. This forced any other brand selling chargers to have to share profits with Apple. The Lightning connector was never really about faster charging or quicker downloads. From the very start, it was all about trapping customers into a system where Apple always got paid. It's the same reason they got rid of the headphone jack. Not to make iPhones slimmer or cheaper as they claim, but so that no matter what accessory you bought or where you bought them, Apple gets their cut of the money. But it gets worse. Apple also designed their phones to be almost unfixable. By inventing custom screws and parts that no regular repair stores would have, everyone was forced to bring their broken phones to Apple's official repair store. Now, even if you somehow manage to fix it on your own, there's another problem. Apple designed their phones to lock after every major repair, and the only way to unlock it is through a special software, a software that only Apple has access to. These clever yet evil designs all make sure that once you get an Apple device, you're stuck giving them more and more of your money. Now, since this is a $1 trillion company we're talking about, it only makes sense they've been using some dark tactics for profit. But even your peanut butter jar is designed to trick you, and it has nothing to do with the label or the lid. You see, underneath a jar there's a small indent that was designed to make jars airtight. This prevented spoilage and helped scrape out every last bit of peanut butter. But over time, that same indent secretly grew deeper. There wasn't a problem with the smaller one, your food wasn't spoiling and getting every last bit was already easy. So why did Skippy suddenly make this hole bigger? Some thought it was a new packaging method or a way to make jars stronger, but without any official explanation, people started to wonder, what if this deeper indent was designed to secretly reduce how much peanut butter goes into each jar? Think about it, that small indent might only take away about 5%, which feels like nothing to you. But for Skippy, that 5% saves them nearly $8 million a year. Skippy had successfully designed a jar that tricked you into buying less. But chip companies, they do the exact opposite. They design their bags in a way that secretly make you eat more. You've probably noticed that chip bags can't be resealed, meaning if you don't finish them, they will go stale. And we've all been there, grabbing a bag the next day only to be hit with that stale, disappointing crunch. It's annoying, right? But it does make you wonder, why don't chip bags have seals when most other type of bags do, and adding one would only cost a few extra cents? What is stopping these billion-dollar companies from adding something so simple yet convenient? Maybe they just never thought about it, but that's unlikely. These huge companies spend millions designing every inch of their packaging. They choose bright colors to make bags pop on shelves, and even pump in extra air to make it look fuller than it actually is. So the truth? All along, these brands purposely never added a seal because they want their chips to go stale. Think about it. If bags had seals, you could possibly choose to eat half now and half later. And in both situations, they're fresh. But when you have to choose between fresh chips now or stale ones later, you're kind of forced into eating them all now. This is exactly why they don't have seals. Companies want you to open a bag and feel forced to finish everything inside, so that when you want more chips later, you have to buy a completely new bag. This design is pretty immoral when you think how this affects humans as a species. From the second you open a bag, you're stuck in a trap to finish the rest. This loop has brought in trillions of dollars for chip brands, but it also brings billions for news articles. First, you find an article that grabs your attention. The headline is just way too interesting to ignore. So you click, start reading, and before you know it, you're hooked. But just as you get to the most important part, everything stops. A paywall pops up, and that's when you realize you've fallen for the trap. Since the very beginning, this was all designed to get you. They let you read just enough to the point where you're craving more, and then demand money to know the rest of the story. That's why they don't even mention the price until it's too late, when you're already desperate to finish what you started. Like the chips, these designs lure you into a trap you cannot escape. But out of all these purposely bad designs, none come close to one that almost feels illegal. Car commercials show off the perfect car. They show how fast it is or flex how tough it's built, and then display what seems like a good price. But I bet you didn't notice the fine prints, or at least what they're saying. They're shown so small and the commercial's shown so fast, it's literally impossible to read. And that's the whole point. You see, in these fine prints hide all the hidden fees and high interest rates, things car commercials legally have to show. But the law doesn't say what font size or how long it has to be on screen for. So they purposely make it tiny and brief so that the big fake price they want you to focus on is the only thing that grabs your attention. It's the same reason why radio ads say their disclaimers so quickly.
Content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent. 0% representative APR terms and conditions apply. Visit mg.co.uk for details.
They bend the law and design these things to make sure you hear or see only the good and miss out all of the bad. And that's the scary part about all these designs. The fact that someone somewhere sat down and designed these things to frustrate you, to waste your time, to trap you. This was not a video about bad design. It was a video revealing how blind we are to the things that control us. And the real question isn't just why they do this, but how many other things in our lives are also deceiving us. Yet still, none of these designs compare to a trick that at first looks so innocent, the 99-cent pricing trick. It's a trick so common you'd think no one falls for it, but if that's true, why is it still used everywhere? Could it be that this pricing trick, along with many others, are still fooling you? Watch this next video to find out. Trust me, you'll want to see this.